Hey guys, it's Jami Balmet back here from YoungWifeSguide.com, and this week over on the blog, we've been talking a lot about marriage, and we kind of tied this in with a lot of fun things we had going on in the month of February. We had a 14-day praying for your husband and your marriage free challenge. A lot of the podcast episodes have been talking about marriage, so we've had a lot of fun talking about marriage, and the feedback has been great. We've had a ton of great questions, and we've had several thousand people go through that 14-day free challenge with us in praying for your husband and your marriage. You can jump into that free challenge anytime by going to youngwifesguide.com/14 days of prayer, or find it over at the show notes for today. But we've had a really fun time talking about marriage. And so today I wanted to get even more practical into how that can actually play out in a marriage, in having a good relationship and respect and friendship, and what do we do when we have bad attitudes and all that stuff. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. So I wanted to bring on two fabulous ladies to the show today to share their expertise in marriage, because both of these ladies have a ton of great things to say. We're going to hear from Jolene Engel from JoleneEngel.com and Lisa Jacobson from Club31Women.com. And they both have very different approaches to how they teach about marriage, but they both have such great things to say, and I feel like they hit on different points that are just so encouraging to me. And so if you missed last week's episode, we were talking about basic homemaking routines, tips, schedules, meal planning, that kind of thing. So you can find that on my YouTube channel. And today we are going to be talking about marriage, and I'm really excited to bring these two ladies on. So just like last week's episode, these 4 clips that I'm going to show you are clips that I took from our online training academy, My Homemaking Mentor. And My Homemaking Mentor is an awesome academy that has 15 full courses within it. And so Jolene Engel teaches a full entire course called A Wife Who Cultivates A Wife Who Cultivates a Loving Marriage, I think is the name of her course. But she teaches a whole course in the Academy on marriage. And then Lisa Jacobson's course on marriage is 100 Ways to Love Your Husband. And so those are the 2 real root courses we have in the Academy on marriage. And then we have courses on meal planning, hospitality, mentorship, friendships, motherhood. It runs the entire gamut of everything you need for your homemaking, and we're continually adding courses. And so the reason I mentioned that real fast is that enrollment for the Academy shuts down April 3rd. So we have enrollment open right now for the Academy for spring until April 3rd. After April 3rd, enrollment shuts down for the Academy, and you will not be able to register for the Academy until the fall, and the price is going to be going up. So if you have any interest at all in the Academy, I highly encourage you to go check it out today. You can go to myhomemakingmentor.com. You get lifetime access, so you can watch the videos whenever you want, whenever you have the time. You get full and complete access to all future updates. We've got more courses that are going to be coming out throughout the year. You are going to get full and complete access to those as well. So we've wanted to make it as affordable as possible for everything that you're getting jam-packed in that academy. So anyway, I get carried away. Head over to myhomemakingmentor.com. You can find out all the details, but just remember, these clips that I'm pulling from today have got some really great things to say, but they are pulled from larger courses. So if you're really intrigued, you want to dig in, find out more, you can find both of these full courses within the Academy. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump in. The first thing we have Jolene from JoleneEngel.com, and she is going to be talking about some of the struggles they've had in their marriage. And if you are familiar with Jolene and her ministry, you know that they've had a lot of struggles throughout their marriage, and she's had to really figure out what it means to be a biblical wife. And so I love her honesty in sharing her own struggles, because she's so real and open and honest with the struggles that she's had. And so we are going to go ahead and jump into her first clip, and I hope that it gives you some encouragement.
I know as a young bride, I desired so much to fulfill the commands by God, to be that respectful and supportive wife to my husband. But I didn't really know how, because I didn't have godly role models emulating what that looked like while I was growing up. So I was unsure of how to go about this path. So early on in my marriage, when my beloved, that's what I refer to my husband, Eric, I call him my beloved, when he and I would have disagreements, I didn't know how to handle them in a godly way. And here's why. My natural reaction, and maybe it's yours, I'm not 100% sure, but my natural reaction is to yell and slam doors and to make sure I win the fight at all costs. Back then, before I knew Jesus, I was a contentious woman with a capital C. I came from a home filled with rage, so pretty much I emulated the behavior that was before me. So when I got saved and then I got married, I knew that a born-again believer shouldn't act the way that I was acting, okay? But I didn't really know how to handle it. I knew that my contentious ways were not pleasing to my Lord. So when the disagreements would happen in our marriage, I did the best that I could to maintain self-control and not respond like I did when I lived in darkness. So this is what I did. Instead of lashing out at my husband, I swung the complete opposite direction and I stuffed my feelings, thinking that this was the biblical approach to being that submissive, respectful, supportive wife with a gentle and quiet spirit, okay? That's not. It's just not. So I quickly learned that taking this approach was not the best for our marriage or my walk with the Lord, because if you stuff something for a long time, your heart's going to grow cold and bitter and you're going to become angry. So I knew I needed to figure out.
So I hope that encouraged you just in her honesty and a real look at what marriage can be like sometimes. So in this next clip, Jolene is going to be talking about respect, how we can respect our husbands, why we don't often respect our husbands, some of the issues that go along with that. And again, I really appreciate her honesty and just giving a real glimpse into what real marriages are like sometimes. So she's going to be talking about respect. I love that. But I also wanted to share that I covered kind of a similar topic on my podcast a couple weeks ago, episode 59. I talked about encouraging your husband to lead with love. And a big part of that is respecting your husband. And so that really ties in. So if you want to go back and listen to that podcast episode, you can find that at youngwifesguide.com/session059. Okay, let's hear what Jolene has to say.
So number one, here's one of the things that I had to keep in mind as a young bride, because I remember looking back over the course of my marriage thinking, well, how come Eric's doing this? And I don't really like that. Now I feel distant towards him and my respect for him was going down. And I thought, okay, wait a minute. I don't want that to happen. And out of obedience to the word, I wanted to be that respectful wife, but I was really struggling with how do I be that when I feel a different way? How do I be respectful when I didn't feel that he was worth respecting in moments of in all of our 18 years of marriage, because he's not perfect and your guy's not perfect. So one of the things that I had to do, which I'm challenging you to do, is number one, be mindful of your own sins, shortcomings, and failures. This is so imperative because as a wife within us, within our spiritual DNA and our flesh DNA, there's this critical spirit that we could examine them and say they're not measuring up, you know? When I look at life through this lens, when I look at my shortcomings and my failures and my sins, it's so much easier for me to let go of my husband's past mistakes. Okay? Every wife, if she wants a strong, thriving marriage, if she wants to strengthen her marriage, if she wants to co-parent together and raise up godly offspring, the number one thing that you have to look at, girlfriend, is your heart, your own shortcomings, sins, and failures. Because when I do that, I look at my husband in such a different way. I'm so much more gracious.
Next up, we're going to hear from Lisa Jacobson from club31women.com. Lisa is such a treasure. I always love when I get to work with her, and her course in the academy is 100 Ways to Love Your Husband, and she also has a book by that same title, and she is also very real and honest, but she takes a very different approach than Jolene, and I love getting to see both of their different perspectives and their approaches to marriage. And one thing I love about Lisa is that she approaches everything with such grace and with such love, and yet she's so biblically sound within her advice, but she's giving it with such grace and love. And I know that I take that very well, and able to really learn from her. And I love the way that she approaches. So let's go ahead and hear from Lisa.
Hello, I'm Lisa Jacobson from Club31women.com. I'm also the author of 100 Ways to Love Your Husband, and my husband has written the companion book, 100 Ways to Love Your Wife. And both of us enjoy talking about marriage, and even better yet, we enjoy being married. We've been married for almost 24 years now, and everything I'm going to be sharing with you over this course on marriage are things that we ourselves have learned along the way, that we try to practice and put in our own marriage. It's not just something I've read in a book somewhere, but these are things that we walk out and seek to try to do every day in our marriage. And a lot of the things that I'm going to be sharing with you are things that I wish someone would have shared with me when I first got married. Things that help make a better marriage, make it richer, closer. So we're going to be talking about things like communication and respect and friendship. So in case you're thinking, well, these two probably just have always loved each other and they had it easy. They never had anything going against them. And so, of course, they make marriage look easy. But just so you know, it's not really like that. We actually had plenty of our own stuff to overcome. In fact, just to give you a sense of it, I'll tell you how our marriage started on our very first wedding day. We were married at the Rhododendron Gardens in Portland, Oregon on a beautiful September day. And we woke up that morning and it was raining, but we had an outdoor wedding. So we just prayed to God that the rain would stop. And sure enough, about an hour before our wedding ceremony, the rain stopped and the sun came out, and the rest of the day was just gorgeous. It was a beautiful day. And after our wedding ceremony, people were all mingling about at the reception, and they were talking and commenting on the wedding and the couple and all those kinds of things. And as I was in a small group talking with a few people, there was another small group of people talking kind of right behind me. And one of those people was the pastor of the church I was raised in. And I overheard him say to the group of friends, well, those two are going to wake up hating each other. And I was so horrified to hear this. I realized that marriage was going to be hard. I don't think I was naive about the investment that it takes and the sacrifice that it takes. But the thought of waking up and hating this man that I had just pledged the rest of my life to, or even worse, the thought of him hating me just filled me with horror. And it took me quite a while to get over that. It felt like almost like a prediction, and a prophecy at a time where I felt like I needed hope and I needed encouragement and I needed to know that we could learn to love each other in a deep and meaningful way. Thankfully, like a lot of things in life, God used it for the good. And when my husband and I talked about it later over our honeymoon and even in the weeks and months ahead of time, we decided that instead of waking up hating each other, we were determined to wake up loving each other, whatever that took. And so in many ways, looking back, I'm actually grateful that I overheard that remark, because it made me all the more, I think, serious and determined to have a beautiful, loving marriage. Not that we never argue, not that we don't have times of conflict or tension, but the hallmark of our marriage is loving commitment. And that's the same kind of marriage that I hope for you, and the kind of marriage that we're going to be talking about over the next few lessons.
I hope you enjoyed hearing from Lisa a little bit on their marriage and their story. I love listening to them. Lisa and Matt have such a sweet marriage, and I love learning and seeing their example of how they love each other, respect each other, have gotten through hard times, hardships, and yet still come together in that friendship. And so that's what Lisa's going to be talking about in this next and final clip, is how to cultivate friendship within the marriage. Why friendship's so important. I think most of us desire that close friendship and that relationship, but it doesn't just happen. It really takes work, and it can be hard sometimes to know how to be a friend to your husband. And so that's what Lisa is going to be talking about in this next clip.
So here we are talking about marriage, and you have your Bible and you have your journal, right? Things you're going to be talking about, things you're going to be working on and writing down. So today, this is the fun one, because we're going to be talking about friendship, which is one of my favorite things to talk about when it comes to marriage. By God's grace, I would say my husband and I are best friends. And I know he would say that about me, which I think is a huge honor to think that he would consider me his best friend. And you would think that friendship would be natural in a marriage. That's what I think every, especially woman, hopes to have a friend, right? And yet, I think out of all the questions I get, this is probably one of the biggest ones. And that is, how can I be friends with my husband? And I think that there's several reasons why that is a disappointment or a struggle in a marriage. I think one of the reasons is that the stresses of life start to weigh you down and you forget that you're friends. So it gets lost maybe in financial hardship, or the kids come along and you're distracted with them, or there's challenges at work, or maybe he's lost his job, you've lost your job. There are so many things in life that conspire against your friendship. And I think on a fairly regular basis, my husband and I will stop and remind each other. We'll go, you know what? Let's remember that we're friends and that we're a team and that we're in this together. Instead of letting those things that are outside take us down, we want to remember that we're in this together and we're in this for the long haul. I was thinking about an event in our own life and marriage. I think I told you about how in the beginning that we were supposed to wake up hating each other. That was the prediction. And we were determined that that wouldn't happen. And about 15 years into our marriage, we had another challenge that was even probably more difficult. We had a child born that she had a massive stroke in utero. And so quite unexpectedly, we found ourselves in the hospital. I had an emergency C-section and everything just went wrong. And I think that event that every parent hopes to never have to face, we had to face. And the part that I remember, well, there's quite a few things that I remember about that. Oh, by the way, she is now almost 16, and even though she does have a bunch of challenges, she's actually doing quite well. So I just want to add that because people always worry about this particular baby girl. But the part I wanted to share with you today was that early on in Avanlea's challenges, and she was in the NICU, the head pediatrician came to us from the hospital, and he sat down with us and he said, there's some things you need to know about this baby. First of all, that she's always going to be a challenge, and that she's probably going to spend a lot of her life in the hospital, and that you need to prepare yourself for the financial hardship, for the emotional strain, and just to let you know that most parents that have this kind of child end up in divorce. I was so sobered by that, and of course, that's the last thing I wanted, that he wanted, and it made me sad to think of that statistic. And we once again had a point in our marriage where we had to choose whether we were going to let this very difficult thing tear us apart, or if we were going to walk through it together. And of course, I think, as you know, we've decided to walk through it together.
So I really hope you loved getting to know Jolene and Lisa a little bit more. You can find out more about their ministries at joleneangle.com and club31women.com. I highly recommend, if you are struggling in your marriage, to head over there, go check out the stuff they have to offer. And if you really resonated with anything that they were talking about and want to dive in deeper, we do have, both of them have done full courses within our academy. So come on over, check it out, myhomemakingmentor.com. You can go through both of their courses right away. We also have courses on meal planning, on encouragement for weary moms. We've got a brand new course coming out this month from Rachel Norman, and it is on chores and tidy routines for moms with young kids. And so I'm really excited about that. We have a course on social media and what the biblical approach to that is, housekeeping, house cleaning routines. Oh my goodness, this academy is packed with everything you really need, and we've really set it up to where you can go through the courses at your own pace, watch them on your computer, on your phone, download them to watch them later when you're offline. We have given you everything you need, and I know the academy right now has over 15 courses, well over 50 individual videos and notes pages. it is packed full of stuff, and I know that can be overwhelming, and so we have given you lifetime access so that you can work through little by little, bit by bit, watch a video here and there, pick the videos or the courses that you most need encouragement on right now. So if you're really struggling in your marriage, you can go through both those courses right now, ignore some of the other stuff until you have more capacity or time to go through those, because you're going to get lifetime access. You don't have to pay every single year or every month. You pay once, you get lifetime access, and you get access to all the future courses that we ever produce in the Academy, which is awesome because we've got some really fun ones coming up this year. So again, head over myhomemakingmentor.com, and just remember, enrollment does close down April 3rd. After April 3rd, you will not be able to enroll again until the fall. And the price on the Academy is going to go up because we should have over 20 courses by then when it reopens. So if you want to get in now. You're going to get locked into that price. You pay once, you have lifetime access. So that is a really, really good deal. So go check it out before April 3rd, myhomemakingmentor.com. And then to find any of the links or resources we mentioned in this episode today, to find out more about Lisa or Jolene, head over to younglifesguide.com/session065. And I will see you guys back here next week for another episode.